Hi guys, welcome to another video and Happy New Year for 2018. My name is Jonathan Curtis. Today we are talking about a simple paradiddle phrase that you can use in a linear fashion that you can build up to 30-second notes. This is kind of a lick video in that I'm going to show you a series of licks that you can use, but the idea is to think about the broader concept behind this. I don't generally do lick videos, but in this instance it's a nice way to introduce a concept and to get you thinking more about it. We need two phrases under our belt first of all. The basic paradiddle, right, left, 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 and a paradiddle diddle, right, left, left, or the reverse, left, right, right. We also need to understand the timing. We need to remember that a single paradiddle on its own is 4 notes long, and a paradiddle diddle on its own is 6 notes long, because we need to pay attention to the length of these phrases as well. The final concept we are going to be working with today is that of orchestrating the accents. Okay, so those paradiddle accents are going to be played on the toms and the ghost notes in between on the snare drum. So basic paradiddles back to back. And again with the paradiddle diddle, starting with the right hand. That accent can be moved around the drums. And it's quite nice to add a bass drum if you move that accent to the ride cymbal or a crash if you've got one. We're going to tie these together now and make a longer combination out of these. First of all, let's just try putting 2 of those together. A single paradiddle followed by a paradiddle diddle. So that's going to be a paradiddle in the right hand, right, left, right. Starting with the left hand, a paradiddle diddle, left, right, right. Note this finishes on the right hand, so then we can begin again, this time starting on the left hand, left, right, right, left, left. Paradiddle, paradiddle diddle, paradiddle, paradiddle diddle. Let's try adding in another paradiddle. This time we will go paradiddle, paradiddle, paradiddle diddle. This is going to stay on the right hand this time. Paradiddle, paradiddle, paradiddle diddle. Four notes in the right hand paradiddle. 4 notes in the left-hand paradiddle, 6 notes in the paradiddle diddle. Add them all together, we're now in 14 notes. Divide that down, we're in 7/8. So it's better, but still not where we want to be. We are 2 16th notes short. So we're going to fill those on that bass drum. This is where our linear element comes in. So we are combining 2 paradiddles, a paradiddle diddle, then 2 bass drum strokes, all as 16th notes, giving us a grand total of 16 notes. This is much more usable for our current purposes. Paradiddle, paradiddle, paradiddle diddle, kick, kick, all the same speed. So you can see straight away there is some utility here. Just by speeding it up we get this really nice sounding phrase with an accent pattern and a linear element. Let's slow that down again. Let's get comfortable with that on its own first of all. We've got 16 notes, so this is going to work really nicely as a bar of 4/4 16th notes. 1 E under, 2 E under, 3 E under, 4 E under. First of all, we can use it as a fill, orchestrating those accents on the toms, playing everything else on the snare drum. As you can hear there, because that finishes with 2 fast bass drums, we might want to start our groove with a bass drum. That means potentially we've got 3 fast bass drums in a row. That's okay, we can work with that, but it might not be ideal, especially when you start to speed these up. One possible remedy to that is to move the position of that bass drum. So here's one of the larger concepts we're dealing with now. We know that 2 paradiddles, a paradiddle diddle, and 2 bass drum strokes give us 16 strokes. Give us 16 notes. That's really useful. We can now change the order of those, and it doesn't matter which order we play them in, we know they work together and we know they equal 16 notes. Our first change, our first variation, we're simply going to move that bass drum, those bass drum strokes, to the start of the phrase. So rather than playing paradiddle, 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 diddle, kick, kick at the end, we're going to start kick, kick, paradiddle, 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 diddle. Straight away, that solved our issue of having 3 potential bass drum strokes together, which we don't always want. It's not ideal. We can now move those again. Let's change the order completely this time. We'll go paradiddle, then kick, kick, then the remaining paradiddle, paradiddle, diddle. So paradiddle, kick, kick, paradiddle, paradiddle, diddle. This has a few added benefits. First of all, it gives us a new combination to work on that we may be unfamiliar with. It gets us thinking, it gets us working. It also gives us a more interesting accent pattern. You noticed when 3 of those paradiddles were together, we get a dung, 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 dung. It's nice, but it's not the most exciting. By moving these around, by changing the order, we get a more interesting accent pattern. We also get that linear element. Those 2 strokes on the bass drum, they also move to a more interesting place as well. So, paradiddle, bass drum, paradiddle, paradiddle, diddle. We're still in 16 notes, so they work really nicely as 16th notes. 1 E under, 2 E under, 3 E under, 4 E under, and all I'm doing here is orchestrating those accents. Every stroke is on the snare drum except the first note of each paradiddle. Paradiddle, kick, kick, paradiddle, paradiddle, diddle, paradiddle, kick, kick, paradiddle, paradiddle, diddle. Once you're used to moving those accents, they can go anywhere. Doesn't matter. If you've got a cowbell, accent on that. If you've got a bongo setup, accent on that. We're orchestrating those accents, everything else stays in the snare drum. Already, we've got a much more interesting melody as well. A little bit faster this time. We have taken our 3 paradiddles and our bass drum, and we've tried it in 2 or 3 variations so far. Now we can start to create longer phrases by combining 2 of those variations, 2 of those larger combinations. So, We will start with the very first one we did. Paradiddle, 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 diddle, kick, kick. We will then use the new one we've just done. Paradiddle, kick, kick, paradiddle, paradiddle, diddle. That's going to give us 32 notes in total, obviously 16 doubled, still nicely usable in our bar of 4/4 as 16th notes. Again, when you can get them fast, they do sound really nice. Now, I am aware that some of you are probably shouting at the screen right now asking about bass drum technique. I'm not going to talk about bass drum technique today. It's quite a big topic that I will dedicate a future video to. I am using just one pedal for this. This is a double on the bass drum. And I will say straight away that I do not use any of these named techniques like slide or swivel or heel toe or anything like that. I just play 2 bass drum strokes, and whatever my foot does, my foot does. Now, as I say, I will do a proper video on this in the future. If you are struggling with that double on the bass drum stroke, the best piece of advice I can give you is to be patient, practice it as a proper double stroke so you are in control of both of those strokes, and be patient, the speed will come. So even if you're practicing it, just, really slowly. Try and make sure you can really hear and feel those 2 bass drum strokes, because this stuff does not work if your bass drum is too weak. If you can't hear that strong double on the bass drum, it's not going to work. It's not going to sound good. But more on bass drums another time. You can take a few more. Let's start with the paradiddle diddle, then add the kick kick, then the 2 paradiddles. Let's see what this one sounds like. Paradiddle diddle, kick kick, paradiddle paradiddle. Quite nice, it works. The joy here is that we know any combination of these is going to be 16 notes long. That means any of them are going to work as 30-second notes. For those of you that aren't familiar, 30-second notes are like 16th notes, 1 eander, 2 eander, 3 eander, 4 eander, but you play twice per count. 1 eander, 2 eander, 3 eander, 4 eander. Your first foray into 30-second notes should be a counting game, right? We're going to take our paradiddles. We're going to play the paradiddles back to back. Paradiddle, 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 paradiddle. Add your beat on the first right hand. Paradiddle, 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 paradiddle. And count your 16th notes every 2 strokes. 1 E and A. 2 E and A. 3 E and A. 4 E and A. Still counting these as 16th notes, but we are now playing the phrase twice as fast. This can be tricky, especially with the longer phrases, especially when you start combining the paradiddle diddles with the double bass drum, but it is worth doing, because if you can't count and you can't feel 30-second notes, you can't play them, at least in any useful manner. You don't want to be that guy that's blazing away in 30-second notes with a look of sheer terror on your face because you have no idea where you are. You have no idea where the beat is. What I'm trying to get across to you is that they are 3 simple elements. A paradiddle diddle, and the addition of 2 strokes on the bass drum to create 16 notes. You could do it with a shorter phrase like 8 notes, but that's going to give you less choice, less variety, less flexibility. Working with 16 notes is a nice way to give you plenty of options, right? But we've got a paradiddle, a paradiddle-diddle, and 2 strokes on a bass drum, and we are combining them in such a way that we equate to 16 notes. Once you've got that, you can change the variation, you can change the orchestration, but you're still working with those 3 fundamental elements, and you know that they work in 4/4. You can use them as 16th notes, or 32nd notes if you're comfortable counting those. Another note on speed, because I know some of you will be wondering about it. There is no magic formula. It is just a case of being persistent with it, and you should absolutely not practice playing fast. To attain speed is all about attaining control over your sticks, control over your body. I practiced these very, very slowly and for a long period of time. Lots of repetition, regular reinforcement. I used them. But the real control, the real speed is going to come when you're in control of them. So your goal when practicing these should be slow repetition. That's it. Slow repetition. Again and again and again, slowly, making sure you have the quality of stroke. That's how you want to play it fast, so that's how you need to practice it, right? But be patient with it. Don't start getting into bouncing and rebounds and that sort of thing. These are wrist strokes. You are in control of these, right? Be patient with it, be persistent with it, and have fun with it. So I hope this has given you a few ideas to work with, a few things to be getting on with. I know it's not necessarily easy, but the concept is simple. So this is a great example of a simple concept that you can take all the way up and work with right up to your level, whatever that may be. If you're just starting out, think of the diddle variations, paradiddle, 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 diddle, and start exploring with that bass drum stroke as a 16th note fill. If you're a little bit more advanced, you've got a bit more control, start exploring with them, start exploring them as 32nd notes. See where you can take these. And I may do a follow-up to this where we look at longer paradiddle variations, which is the sort of thing people like Vinnie Colaiuta use to great effect. Have fun with it, good luck, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers, guys. Thanks for watching this video, guys. I hope you enjoy these videos, and I'm really grateful for the support I get and the nice comments you leave. Please keep doing so, please keep getting in touch, please keep subscribing, liking the videos, share the videos if you think they're helpful, and consider checking out my Patreon page if you want to support the channel more directly as well. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you on the next one.